Welcome to FrightFest. You're here with not one but two films. You are directing Scare Package 2 and then producing Sorry About the Demon. What was it about these two projects that stood out to you?
I mean, goodness, I think, they're kind of intrinsically tied together because Scare Package 1, I worked with Emily Higgins, and we had such a wonderful time, so we decided to kind of bring the family back together and make Sorry About the Demon, which is even the same lead character, John Michael Simpson, from Scare Package is there, so it just kind of felt in the family and made a lot of sense. And, I think coming off the pandemic, well, whatever, we're still in the pandemic, however you want to phrase it, we just want to make fun things and escape this kind of humor, horror, which we think is really fun. And Emily and I share those sensibilities. So I think both films just were opportunities to hopefully show some people a really fun time. They both kind of subvert horror tropes. They both have like a little commentary to say in a fun way. Scare Package is a little more absurd. But it just was a lot of fun to get together with wonderful people and make some fun movies. Really, is all it's all about.
I mean, Scare Package 2, it's a great anthology. As I told you about this on email, it's just fun. I mean, did you see how did the FrightFest crowd react to it?
It was great. Yeah, the FrightFest crowd was on point. It's one of those, it's the first test, right? To kind of see, like, are we getting the laughs we're supposed to get? And people were laughing and coming up after and talking about it. And that's, it is a movie that's very layered where there's like jokes within jokes within jokes. So I think as people hopefully they watch it even again, they'll catch on even more things that are there. But I mean, that's what it's for. You work so hard to make something and then you're just kind of hoping for that reaction. And then you get it and it's like, oh, this big exhale. And just you feel like this weight off your shoulders, and that's what Thursday night was. It was just such a wonderful experience, and hearing everybody kind of, oh, they did laugh at that, or they did shriek at that, and how does that work? It's just such a fulfilling, wonderful moment as a filmmaker. It was the best, the absolute best.
And obviously, as a big horror fan, how much fun is it to, in something like Scare Package, just get given free rein to chuck as many references and nods in as you possibly can?
I mean, what's so great about Scare Package is there's no rules. So it started in the first Scare Package. There was a moment where they were walking into a room and we wanted flashlights, but we didn't have flashlights. And I was like, well, in horror films, they just all of a sudden have flashlights. So then I told Jeremy King, I was like, we're going to give you flashlights and just say, I brought mine. Where'd you guys get yours? As a joke. And then from that point on, we were like, this is liberating. Let's just take everything that we want to do, no matter how absurd it is, and let's throw it into this blender and see how it comes out. But then at the same time, too, with Scare Package 2 in particular, we wanted to kind of comment on like fandom with horror fandom, and it kind of forms these sects and stuff and what's there, and people can take it a little too far. So we're kind of poking fun at that, but also I am, as tattooed horror person, obsessed with all this stuff, and I'm that person that's like, you haven't seen that? And like, no, why would you think it's that? And I'm trying to retrain myself to kind of be as accepting, to like welcome people in. So Scare Package 2 is trying to do that, but then at the same time, take all the things that are tropes that maybe you don't even realize were tropes. Like, oh yeah, that does happen in every horror movie. And we try to kind of, like the timer, that's never the right time at the end of the movie, and it's funny, when I gave notes to people, gave them the link, they would give notes like, oh, your timer's off. Then they get to the end, they're like, oh, never mind, I saw that was a joke too. And I'm like, everything is a joke, and that's a fun playground when literally there are no rules and it's just like have fun with it, be more absurd, zig when you're supposed to zag, and that's a really great fun experience, hopefully, for the audience.
And as a fan of the Saw franchise, it's nice that we've reached that stage where now that is being included in the classic horror thing, because your wraparound story is heavily linked to Saw.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 80s and 90s in the first one, so we were doing 90s and early 2000s. And when I was thinking about early 2000s horror, like Saw was a big thing. And then Spiral was coming out when I was writing this. So I went back and rewatched all the Saw movies. And I'm like, these, with all love to the writers, I don't think these make any sense. And I'm like, because it just, every time they would flash back, it would just be a wider view and someone else was there and someone else was there. And I was like, well, that's a lot of fun. And I still enjoy those movies and I still have fun watching those. So I'm like, well, we could have fun with that. Like, and I haven't seen anyone lampoon that in a great way. Because again, I love the Saw sequels. So how can we do that while also being like, come on, like what are we doing? And hopefully people kind of catch all those. And there's a lot of like even subtle Saw references that aren't even the more overt puppet crawling out and let's play a game stuff. There's a lot of layered things in there that I hope people catch on to.
And finally, it's teased at the end of Scare Package 2. Are we getting Rad Chad 3?
I mean, let's ask Shudder first. Hopefully they'll greenlight it. If people like, and same thing happened with the second one. I didn't think we would ever make a sequel to Scare Package. I never thought it would be possible. But then everybody kind of loved it, and we had the support behind it, and Shudder was immediately on board. So hopefully, if people respond the same way, I have an even wilder idea for Scare Package 3. And and also I love the ending of credits when they, like Back to the Future, like will return. So I was like, well, we're just going to say it, and we're going to see what happens, and hopefully people like it enough to do that. Yeah.
I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah. What? Pardon me?
I keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Well, I can think of the poster now. That's the other thing too. How do I do like the 3 fingers? I don't know. We'll figure that out. But that's the least of my worries at that time. Yeah.
Go and enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thank you so much.